Hey everyone, and welcome back for yet another episode of the Unbiased Goat Sports Podcast show. And for starters, I want to just thank everybody for giving me some great feedback over the last 2 weeks. It's been extremely helpful in my process and trying to do my very best to put out the best product / content I can for all y'all. And I'm listening. So I'm gonna try to post this episode a little sooner this week just so everybody can kind of get their ears on it before Sunday football comes around. And we're also another huge thing that was demanded of me, it seems like, was the my hot parlay pick segment that I did from last week. So I'm bringing it back for another week. So let's start with that. If you watched my podcast last week, you will know that with that segment last week, with all 7 picks that I chose, they all hit home, and your boy collected the bag. So we're riding the hot hand here, and so I've got another 6 or 7 picks this week for everybody to kind of take in and do what you will with it. By no means am I promoting sports betting or telling you what to do with your money, you goofballs. But with that being said, if you are someone who likes to kind of dabble and make a little extra money from time to time, this might be a perfect segment for you. So the first pick I have for this week's Hot Parlay money line, I've got the Panthers over the Falcons. The Falcons are like 0-500 at this point. They have a secondary on defense that is in shambles, and their offense is just very much out of sync. And I hate to break it to you, for all you Matt Ryan believers out there, Matt Ryan is not elite. He's not. And with Julio Jones being, questionable week in and week out with that hamstring, I just cannot foresee them getting any type of win anytime soon. And Panthers, on the other hand, Teddy Bridgewater is getting hotter and hotter every week. He's looking like the quarterback that they, when the Panthers went out and got him, this is the outcome they wanted to see out of him. And, even without CMC, their backup running back in Davis is putting up ridiculous numbers. And their defense is like a middle-of-the-pack defense. So they're going to, what you're going to get from them. A solid performance week in and week out. Nothing great and nothing too bad, but, right in the middle of the pack. So I do have Panthers in that one. Next, this one should be an easy one. LA Rams over Washington. I am taking the Rams 130%. Washington is going through a quarterback change right now. They're going from Dwayne Haskins, who is bad, to Kyle Allen, who's also bad. So, this never really works out for teams when they're doing this, quarterback change strategy because, they have such little faith in their quarterback at the time that they think that all their problems are going to be magically solved with a quarterback change. This will not be the case this week, and the LA Rams, with a solid-ass defense, are going to walk in and take care of business. Not to mention the Rams' offense is exactly what you would expect. They've got 2 superstars in Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, and they have a quarterback who, still is relatively young, but is a veteran. He's been down this road before, and you know what you're going to get from him. You're going to get a solidly managed game. So look for the Rams to get a W this week. So these next 3 picks, you're going to be probably scratching your head and wondering, all right, did he have a coconut fall on his head? Is he a nut? Well, I'm here to tell you, and I'm going to explain my picks, so bear with me. I've got Houston over the Jags, and I know what you're thinking right off the bat. Houston doesn't have a win yet, and they just went through a coaching change. Firing Bill O'Brien, you're thinking there's no possible way that I would ever take Houston, but I'm here to argue that this coaching change could be the best thing to happen to Houston since Houston was created. I think Deshaun Watson really needed a new kind of scenery when it came to the head coaching position. Romeo Crennel is the guy who's going to be filling in, and he has a long track record of being a guy who knows his X's and O's. So I think he's going to get them on track. I think Deshaun Watson, there's no way he goes 0-5. And I think they have to grit up this week and get it done. And I think this is the week against the Jags. who got their shit knocked in against the rookie-led Bengals and Joe Mixon. So I see Houston winning this week. This one's easy. This next one's real easy for me because I despise the Philadelphia Eagles. Steelers over the Phillies. Really not much else to say other than Ben Roethlisberger is looking like the old GOAT himself. He is spreading the ball, and I feel like week in and week out that offense is starting to connect. Juju Smith, Ebron at tight end. He's kind of looking like a Heath Miller for Ben, and they have a lot of other weapons on that offense that really have taken them a long way throughout the years. And I believe that Steelers defense is extremely dangerous. I believe they're top 5 at least with Minka Fitzpatrick, and they've got a solid linebacking core, not to mention they have a fantastic pass rush. So I see the Steelers taking this one easy. Now, here's another one. Bear with me here. Miami over the Niners. I know what you're thinking. Miami? Well, here's what I'm thinking about Miami. They are as gritty as they come. They are not a team that comes into any game and plans to fold over by any means. They've been getting solid production offensively. They have a bunch of guys on that offensive scheme that are doing the work for them. And, some of the names might be familiar. Devontae Parker, and he's a beast. He's a number 1. He's a clear top 10 receiver in my mind. But also the emergence of Gaskins, their running back. Kind of not a household name yet, but he's been doing a solid job being a workhorse for them. And Fitzmagic, he's just gritting through these games. He's doing what it takes, and he's showing his veteran leadership. Now, Miami's defense is not good, but I believe that it will be good enough this week to hold back the 49ers' lackluster offense. And not to mention the 49ers defense is still banged up. They were hit with the injury bug. And I foresee the Miami Dolphins taking this win on the money line. All right, another one. I'm riding the hot hand here. Browns over Colts. I have Browns winning this one. Even with Nick Chubb on the IR for a couple weeks, Kareem Hunt is a ex-rushing title type of running back. He has got the potential, and he has showed it all year long that he is a guy who can step up into the number 1 running back role. Baker Mayfield in that receiving core, especially Odell Beckham, are finally seeming like they are getting each other's, they're getting the mind waves back and forth. They're running the right routes at the right times, and Baker's making the throws. I also see the Browns not having that big of a problem with the Colts offense. I don't care what anybody says. Philip Rivers is getting up there in age, and I think it shows. I mean, the guy, he's good. He really is. I don't want to bash on him for being a bad quarterback, but I don't think their offense has what it takes to stay up with the Browns. And the Colts defense, they're extremely overrated. They have names on that defensive scheme there where you're thinking, whoa, don't ever bet against these guys. Well, I'm telling you right now, goofballs, they've got a couple good guys on the defense, but it's not good enough when they have an offense to deal with, like the Browns, that are hitting a stride right now where they're figuring out their identity, and they have rolled with it since then. And they are a team that is, obviously giving the Ravens, the Steelers, and that whole division, including the Bengals, a run for their money. So watch out for the Browns. I got them this week against the Colts. Last but certainly not least, I'm taking Mr. Unlimited and the Seahawks over the Vikings. So Vikings have been electric on offense since they've kind of figured out that, okay, we have more than one weapon on our offense, and it's not just Dalvin Cook. We've got Adam Thielen, we've got Justin Jefferson, and Kirk Cousins is not a bad quarterback. He really is not. But on the Seahawks end of things, every week in the NFL, watching the Seahawks has been who can outscore Mr. Unlimited. And I haven't found or seen a team yet that can do it, that they've played. So I see Russell Wilson outscoring Kirk Cousins stride for stride all game long. Both defenses, Seahawks and Vikings, are not good. But I think the Vikings are on the lesser end of the stick here. And I think Mr. Unlimited takes care of business. He's got a lot of weapons. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, a solid tight end core. and a bunch of other misfits that are stepping up and filling in bigger shoes than anybody could have expected. So I have Seahawks in this matchup. So that is my hot parlay pick of the week. So let's move on to week 4 scores from last Sunday and last week. As always, we are always blessed with awesome games week in and week out. And some of them might not look on paper like they're going to be great games, but guess what? They produced, they came through. And for starters, let's start with the Saints-Lions game. I foresaw this game being very much of a quarterback head-to-head match where Stafford was going to have to outduel Drew Brees of the Saints, and they went off to an early lead, 14-0 lead at the beginning of the game with Stafford, really spreading the pigskin all over the field. But do not ever sleep on Drew Brees and that Saints offense. They can explode at any moment. The final score of that game was 35-29 Saints. And the biggest takeaway I have is even without Michael Thomas, that duo they have in the backfield with Latavius Murray and Alvin Kamara is, at least in my opinion, top 3 duos for running backs in the NFL. Alvin Kamara is the best in the game. He secured the bag, and he is proving why he's worth every single penny that they paid him. But Latavius Murray, don't sleep on him. He had 2 touchdowns last week, along with another touchdown from Alvin Kamara. So these guys are really working their asses off in that backfield, and it's been doing the job since Mike Thomas has been gone. And that Saints defense is solid. They have dudes that can make plays when they need them made. So look for the Saints to get even more dangerous when Mike Thomas is back. Moving on to the Chargers-Buccaneers game, a game that we all slept on. Tom Brady versus the rookie, Justin Herbert. Buccaneers won 38-31, but it was a very one-sided game for a large portion of it. Justin Herbert is looking like a poised veteran in the pocket, and his 6'6" stature is playing a huge role, I think, in my opinion. And he's also making a case for Rookie of the Year. There's no doubt. The dude has got ice in his veins, and he was spreading the ball to everyone who was willing to get open for him. Keenan Allen especially, they are targeting him at least 9 to 10 times a game or more. And the guy's proven why he's a top 5 receiver in the NFL. But in the end, Justin made obviously a rookie mistake in the fourth quarter through that pick. And, nobody's perfect. These athletes are not perfect. And especially from a rookie standpoint, he made that mistake late in the game there. And the Buccaneers, Tom Brady took advantage, outscoring them in touchdowns with 5 touchdown passes. This is what Tom Brady's so good at, is utilizing everyone on his arsenal to the best of their abilities. They got the dub, so good for the Buccaneers. So moving on to the Jags-Bengals game, a game that we might have slept on, but I was looking at it from way back thinking, okay, Bengals-Jaguars, this won't be a high-scoring affair, and it very much could be, a back-and-forth battle, but Joe Mixon and Joe Burrow and that offense, Tyler Boyd, you name it, showed up and came to play. Joe Mixon alone had 150 yards on the ground. The guy was shredding the Jaguars all game. And Joe Burrow is, with a terrible offensive line, this guy is still getting the job done and proving why he was the number 1 pick. Another guy who's up there and in the contention for Rookie of the Year talks. And there's no doubt when it comes when it's all said and done that his name will be definitely in the ringer for sure. On the Jags side of the ball, Gardner Minshew started the year off really hot, but it looks like he's starting to cool down. That mustache is starting to fizzle out a little bit. And the Jags defense, to get torn up like they did defensively, that's a little scary for them. And especially by a rookie-led team on offense, like you do not want to see a Jags defense get torched like that. But final score, 33 Bengals, 25 Jags. Bengals take the W. Another game here. Vikings, Texans. Texans are still 0 for 1,000. They still haven't won a game this year, but, there's really hasn't been that many bright spots for them to look at. Deshaun Watson's playing lackluster football. Their offense is stalemated it seems like every possession they're working from a third down perspective where it's like we have to get it. We have to get this third down here, or we're punting the ball and we're giving them right back. And the Vikings offense, who I've been talking about for weeks now, are hitting that stride. And Kirk Cousins, a veteran quarterback, is utilizing everybody in his arsenal, including Justin Jefferson, the rookie, and a lot of other names that you wouldn't expect. But obviously, another name that you would totally know is Adam Thielen, a veteran receiver, top 10 in the NFL. And is, in my opinion, one of the best route runners out there. He gets open, and he does so by being intelligent and running crisp routes and easy-to-throw routes where a quarterback like Kirk Cousins should be able to hit like it's, going out of fashion type of throws. But with that being said, I think this upcoming week in Week 5, Deshaun Watson with the coaching change, expect a win. Because I sure as hell hope so with my hot parlay pick of the week. Seahawks-Dolphins, this game was a lot closer than a lot of people would have thought it would have been. But like I said, the Dolphins are a very gritty team on both sides of the ball. They are not by any means rolling over to big badass teams like the Seahawks. But as previously mentioned about Russell Wilson, it's been an who can outscore who thing all year. And Russell Wilson's been proving why he's MVP candidate of the year. Utilizing not only his 2-star receivers in DK and Lockett, utilizing other guys like Moore, who is a receiver that you probably would not think would be doing as well as he is, but these guys are doing the job, and they're doing it damn well. With Carson in the backfield, that running back, he is solid. He is a very downhill runner who is looking to gain as many yards every time he touches the ball. And for having a bad defense, the Seahawks are just outscoring people. It's simple as that. Their defense is not good. It's pretty beat up at this point, but they're doing what they need to do to win football games. And that's all that really matters at the end of the day, right? So now here's the craziest game of the week, in my opinion. Browns-Cowboys. Browns came in and knocked the shit out of the Cowboys. Final score of that game was 49-38. Browns came out early and threw a couple right hooks mixed in with some left hooks and an uppercut, and they took a resounding lead on the Cowboys very early on. And for a Browns defense, who obviously as you can tell from the score, led up 38 points to the Cowboys, that score is not reflective of what kind of game that really was. It was the Baker Mayfield show, including Kareem Hunt, Odell Beckham having his breakout game for the Browns, I think, so far in his career with them. With a couple of touchdown catches, a touchdown run on a reverse play that looked like he was going to get caught in the backfield and ran it for what seemed like 1,000,000 yards. Browns really shocked everybody. With a defense, like I said, that's struggling to find their identity, the Browns are hitting it on all cylinders on offense and getting the job done. So I said it before, and I said at the beginning of the season, that the AFC for the Ravens is a very open division. I feel like the Steelers are as dangerous as the Browns, and the Bengals could also be a team that, if you do not take them seriously, they can come in and they can take your soul from you. Panthers-Cardinals. Panthers get the W 31-21 to the Arizona Cardinals. And really not much to say. Arizona, Kyler Murray has really cooled off since starting the season extremely hot. DeAndre Hopkins, is week in, week out proving why he's probably the best receiver in all of football. He catches almost everything that's thrown to him. Their defense is okay. But the Panthers, they're just playing really well. They're playing good football right now, and without CMC, and I know I mention it a lot, but Christian McCaffrey is one of those guys where his name needs to be mentioned when he's not there or not present in that offense, because he's truly a game changer in all facets of the game. But they're getting the job done and utilizing the tools that they have at hand. DJ Moore is a very solid receiver. And they've got a cast of other guys who are willing to get the job done as well and get open. That's the big key. Teddy Bridgewater needs guys getting open, and they sure as hell are right now for him. So I look for them to stay hot in this next coming week and beat the Falcons and beat them handsomely as well. Probably kick their shit in, so to speak. So this next game, everybody knows I'm a Ravens fan, die-hard Ravens fan. I live for the Ravens football team, and I have for as long as I've been a fan. I have just always loved the Ravens with all of my heart. But like the show's title, I have to be as unbiased as I can, and I will. So 31-17 win over the Washington football team, and you're probably thinking, what could you possibly say? It's a W. It's a win. Lamar Jackson is doing Lamar Jackson things. Well, Lamar Jackson, the big question mark on him has never been his athleticism, but rather his downfield accuracy when it comes to big throws and big moments of big games. And by no means was Washington game a big game. And a game expected to be won by the Ravens, by the way. But there was a lot of question marks and a lot of concerns. Lamar Jackson still has yet to prove that he can consistently throw the ball downfield. Hollywood Brown, who put on 23 pounds of muscle this offseason, is still looking as fast as ever and getting open. He really is. There's a lot of burn routes that he's running that Lamar Jackson's just not putting it on him. He's putting it behind him, and it looks like, to say that this, to just say it as it is, it looks like Lamar Jackson does not trust his arm down the field. He looks like he's aiming the ball. And on the other side of the ball, the Ravens defense, man, the Chiefs tore them up. But Dwayne Haskins throwing for 300-plus yards and actually putting up the performance that they did against a Ravens defense that's supposed to have two of the best corners in the NFL is very worrisome. The Ravens' pass rush is non-existent. Judon is a fraud. And I sure as hell hope he doesn't get paid that money that he's asking for. But we're struggling. We're allowing quarterbacks to sit back there all day long and scan the field for whoever the hell wants to get open. And when you have a guy like Scary Terry for the Washington football team, that can be a scary thought, especially when you're forcing these corners of the Ravens, Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters, to stay out there in coverage way longer than they need to be. So though it was a W, at the end of the day, that's a little scary for Ravens fans, and especially in a division, like I said, that's extremely competitive. And on the Washington side of the ball, in case you haven't heard, Kyle Allen, the quarterback who filled in for Cam Newton on his absence last year for the Panthers, if you didn't know, he's on the Redskins now, and he is now their quarterback for this upcoming Sunday. And, he's not any better, and I don't see that solving their problems. So for a Redskins team that's struggling to get wins right now, I don't see Kyle Allen as the answer. Rams-Giants. Rams took care of business. It was 17-9 W for the Rams. Giants are a terrible football club, and there's not much more I have to say. They're really not good, and they better be looking to this upcoming draft and looking for some solutions, because obviously the last couple of years their draft picks have not been producing the way they want to, and with a defense that's not entirely good, it's not great, and it doesn't pan out great for the Giants offense, who seems to have a very hard time moving the ball consistently. And there's a reason why the record's so bad right now. And then on the LA side of the ball, you've got a team that's built to win now. And I believe they're going to have serious playoff contention down the road at the end of the season. And like I said, not much more to say about that game. Moving on to the Bills-Raiders game. What a great game. Josh Allen is the whole truth. Again, spreading the field to everyone. And that offense is just on demand every game, week in and week out. Stephon Diggs, the best pickup of the season. Out of all of the trades and acquisitions that were made this offseason by all the teams, I believe that Stephon Diggs has paid his dues times 1,000. He's unbelievable, one of the best route runners in the NFL, and he's getting open for Josh Allen downfield all the time, and Josh sees it. I think Josh is starting to believe in that downfield arm strength and accuracy. He knew he had the strength all along. It was just the concern about driving the ball down the field consistently with accuracy. And on the Bills side of the ball, defensively, they're just a solid, gritty group of guys that, they have playmakers like Tre'Davious White and their linebacker in Edmonds, and they've got a very solid secondary as well. So Raiders, really not much to say. Their offensive line is really bad. Josh Jacobs, I feel so sorry for that dude because he is a dog running the ball. But, you can't have an offense that relies 100% on throwing the ball all game long. You have to have a running game to complement it. And if that's the case with the Raiders where they can't run the ball, teams are just going to sit on that throw and that pass all game long and feast on you. So not much else to say there. Raiders defense isn't that good either. They're okay, but not great. Colts, Bears, keep this one brief. Colts 19, Bears 11. Colts with the W. Both teams have put up a lackluster performance offensively, defensively, all around. It was really just a terrible game to watch. I watched, I think, maybe 5 minutes of it before I said, all right, I'm calling it. I'm done. Just not a fun game to watch, and there was plenty of other good football games going on, so that's the beauty of Sunday football. Eagles 49ers. 49ers are frauds. I've said this since last year. I don't like to use the F word a lot, but they are frauds. The fact that they got to the Super Bowl last year is just, it pays homage to their incredible defense that they had last year. But with the defense they have now, they lost a lot of key pieces in free agency with DeForest Buckner going to the Colts. And injuries. The injury bug has plagued them as well all year long. Offensively, you would think with Deebo Samuels returning and, a couple guys being hurt, but hopefully coming back eventually, they'll be good. But I just don't see this 49ers team having any type of grit later on in the season. And not much else is to be said. The Eagles beat them by 25-20. So, and the Eagles are a deplorable club as well. Carson Wentz, blows chunks. He's not good. And like I said, I foresee Jalen Hurts at some point taking the helm for them. So moving on to the Chiefs-Patriots game. So it obviously wasn't the Sunday football game that we all expected it to be, and obviously with COVID being a thing now in the NFL, it was postponed until Monday, and a Patriots team with no Cam Newton, really, I gave them zero chance of winning that game against Patrick Mahomes. Final score was 26-10, Chiefs win. Brian Hoyer started the game for him, and he's a seasoned vet when it comes to it, but there's a reason why he holds the clipboard on the sideline, and he's a backup quarterback for a living. He's not good, and when they brought Stidham in, he didn't look any better. I mean, I think he threw a touchdown pass later in the game, but still worrisome for the Patriots, especially with COVID. You hate to see players go down because of the COVID protocol, but it happened to them, and the Chiefs defensively, offensively went to town and had a field day. Easy win for the Chiefs. I had this one being easy as soon as I figured out Cam Newton was out of the game or was not supposed to play because of COVID. So look for this being an issue down the road for a lot of teams, especially the Titans. Those guys are a bunch of jokesters. This is your job. You have a 16, 17 game season. You're lucky if you play in the playoffs and have a run at the Super Bowl, but this is your job. They need to start taking this whole COVID protocol thing seriously and stop the whole screwing around thing and start taking it seriously. But I hope they do get punished for it. I hope they get draft picks taken away, and rightfully so. If you're going to act like a bunch of foolish goofballs out there and not follow the rules, well, guess what? The rules apply to everybody. And if you don't follow the rules, just like we were taught when we were growing up, you get punished. So I hope they get punished for it. Final game, and this game was a great game for me. The Packers versus the Falcons. The Packers were like the last team that I needed to win on the last week's parlay, and the Packers took care of business, 30-16. Packers W over the Falcons. Like I said, and I've said it 1,000 times, Matt Ryan is not elite. That team right now in the Falcons might be the worst team in all football, and unfortunately, it's hard to say that because you look at the talent they have and you think, oh my goodness, there's no way these guys are having this bad of starts 2 years in a row. But the secondary is banged up. They've got a bunch of no names in the secondary, and guys like Aaron Rodgers and especially the Packers right now that are firing on all cylinders. It was a freaking field day out there for him. He, even with Devontae Adams, spread the ball to everyone. They've got one of the best 1-2 punches in the backfield with Jones and Williams, and an emergence of what looks like a solid tight end. The tight end for the Packers, he looked incredible. He had 3 touchdown catches and was getting open and looking like that security blanket that Aaron Rodgers really likes to have, especially with Devontae Adams being out and no return in the foreseeable future, unless his hamstring fixes itself overnight. He has to start looking to other guys to step up and fill the role. And Packers defense made the plays they needed to make. Zadarius Smith and a lot of those other key guys on that defense are getting the job done, especially against a Falcons team who we all expected them to get their shit knocked in. And guess what? They did get their shit knocked in. So Packers got the W. Made me a little bit richer than I was the week before. But a lot of great football. I'm glad that we could kind of go over week 4 before heading into yet another exciting week 5 of football. Lots of good games to come. And I really do honestly appreciate y'all for listening and taking the time out of your days to talk a little sports with me. And it's just, like I said, there's nothing better than being able to talk some sports. It's a great time of year. And especially with everything going on in the world nowadays, it's just good to sit back and kind of have a fun conversation about sports. I know for me, it gives me the highs and lows. Obviously, when your team's winning, it's great, and when they're losing, it sucks. But nonetheless, I appreciate y'all, and I will catch you next week on next week's episode of the Unbiased Goat Sports Podcast Show. See ya.